What's up, guys? I did not expect to make a video about Recon Breakpoint. I had been planning to actually play it, as a month ago I started playing Wildlands, and I was really enjoying that. The graphics are amazing. I was running around the world having a lot of fun. It's kind of a game that you can play with friends or play multiplayer and then drop in and drop out. You can have a podcast going, just kind of idle fun, and I was enjoying it quite a bit. And there was a period of time where I was like, okay, let me check out Breakpoint. And then WoW Classic happened, and that Breakpoint idea just kind of got shelved. Okay, if I want to do open world stuff, I can play Wildlands, but I'm not really keen on picking up the newest title and, you know, going from there. Like, this is just mindless fun to me. And then I got a Facebook message today, and it was from my buddy, and it had a link to the Recon Breakpoint Metacritic, and then underneath it was the word oof. And before I clicked on that link, I'd kind of thought, okay, well, there's a reason he's sending that to me. It's probably like middling, so maybe it's a 50, 60, 70. And then I clicked on it, and sure enough, 57 Metascore. And then I saw this big, giant red circle, 2.7. And so immediately my head jumps to, okay, maybe this game is buggy, right? That's kind of the first thing that I can think of, is the game is just full of bugs. You can't start it, you can't play it, you can't launch it, it crashes, the character flies off, whatever it is. Like, maybe it's completely unplayable, servers don't work, whatever. And then I started to look through it, and then all I found is microtransactions. Everything is monetized, microtransactions. And then I kind of understood where where this review score came from. So I wanted to make a video on this, but I wanted it to be different from what I feel like a lot of the videos are going to be, like the Angry Joe, you done fucked up again, talk about monetization, how they ruin this stuff. But I wanted to kind of take a different approach to it and sort of see if I could explain why this practice keeps happening, why publishers and developers are trying to incorporate these monetization elements in the game, why that's an issue for the player, and hopefully come up with some type of solution that could possibly work moving forward. Now, the first DLC downloadable content I can remember is the horse armor kerfluffle with the Xbox 360 and PC release of Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Oblivion. This is a $60 game that at the date of purchase you could buy. I think it was $5. I can't really remember, and the website doesn't have the price here on it, but I think it was like $4.99 or something like that. You could buy cosmetic armor for your horse that didn't really change much gameplay. It gave the horse more health, I believe. But aside from that, like, no magical changes to it. It literally was a sheet of armor for your horse. And this caused a huge uproar. Now, you'll typically fall into one of two camps when you hear that. So on the one hand, okay, it's kind of completely cosmetic. It's armor for the horse. If you don't like it, just don't buy it. Like, I don't see what the big deal is. If you don't want horse armor, don't spend the extra $5. Just take the $60 game and move on with your life. Like, why are you making such a big deal of this? And that was definitely around at that time. The other point of view was, I had just spent $60 on this game at a point in time when it was sort of standardized, the price points from 50 to 60. So keep in mind, the kind of standard publisher set price had just moved from $50, which it was kind of in the PS2 era for quite a long time, to $59.99. So $10 more. And as soon as I buy the game, I'm not getting the complete package. Okay, I just bought this game and I want Oblivion, like I want to play Oblivion. Now you're telling me I need to spend an extra $5 to get more content. And it kind of psychologically sort of works on a couple fronts. One, okay, it's just a cosmetic piece of armor to the horse. Why is this not just in the game? Like, if it's such a small, minute detail, just armor for my horse, why am I having to pay more for this? Why is this not just already a part of the package here? And the other side is, it literally came out day and date with the release of the game. And I would kind of make the argument with no real data to support it, but I could feel like there wouldn't be so much pushback or outcry towards this if the horse armor had sort of been released a month down the road, or 2 months down the road, or 3 months down the road with another expansion, with some other quality of life changes to it. It kind of hits you in a way that doesn't feel proper. But this is the first sort of DLC I can remember being rolled out into a game, and you had people on those two camps, but it made money. Clearly, that's why that practice has continued. Now, 2019, games are still set at the $60 price point, and we can all agree games are more expensive on the publisher and developer end, the marketing end, the upkeep and server maintenance cost end than they were before. Games have only gotten more expensive to develop and produce and outsource, and I have to work with the voice acting guild union and then motion capture union and bring in these people and facial capture and motion capture, and I have to do this, and then I need to upkeep the server and do patches, and like games as a service, we have to keep promoting this over and over and over and over. It's not just the game is done and we move on with our life. Games cost more to develop, yet they've stayed at that $60 price point. Now, the $60 price point, I was going to say it's kind of an arbitrary number, but it's not. It's set by the publisher, and it's good that everyone has agreed to that $60 price point. And what we can infer from that is stores that could sell the game at a lower price point will fall out of favor with the publisher and no longer be able to stock those newer games, but also that they set an equal playing field. If we set our game at $60, we know all these stores will sell it. They're going to sell my competitors' games at $60. Everyone sort of has an equal playing field. What that also means is someone did the market research, some studio, some outsourcing company, some third party worked with a publisher, developer, multiple publishers, and they've all come to the same conclusion, which is if we raise the price to 70 or 80 or 90, not enough people would buy the product and our net profit would go down. We would make more per item sold, but the total would be less than if we kept it at 60. It's most assuredly a monetary decision as well. So how does a game studio make more money while keeping the game the same cost? It costs more money to develop it. We need to make more money. Square Enix sold 3 million on Tomb Raider, and that was still a failure because it didn't sell this much. Games need to sell more. They need to keep people for longer. How do we make more money out of our product when we can only charge $60 for it? Well, you start rolling in collector's editions and limited edition and different things like this, of course, at the launch of the game, pre-order bonuses and different things like that. But microtransactions is kind of a practice that everyone has sort of adopted. For a period of time, people were still trying to figure that out. You had EA who had the code to get into multiplayer stuff. You had season passes rolling around for a long time, but kind of everyone's settled on microtransactions as the de facto way to generate more currency from your product moving forward. Now, a microtransaction ostensibly is supposed to be something that doesn't cost a lot, that can hit that sort of impulse buy trigger of the consumer. Okay, here's $5 for this. Sure, that's fine. Horse armor, it's $5 or less. In my head, that's a microtransaction. Okay, here's a black dye for my outfit. Okay, it's $2, sure, whatever, just take that. And that's a way for the developer and publisher to generate a little bit more money from that title. Now, the issue is that game publishers don't just want more money, they want all of the money. So the microtransaction trend has become more and more predatory, with more and more items being sold that cost more and more. From the consumer end, from the player's end, we feel like the game is being, the $60 we're spending is getting us less and less value. And both of those are bad. The player feels like, I just spent $60 and you're telling me to drink soda from the soda fountain. You're not giving me a cup anymore. I used to get horse armor. I used to get different cosmetics and different costumes just in the game. I used to get extra characters in the game. I didn't have to spend $5 to get Arnold Schwarzenegger. I didn't have to spend $5 to get Alien, as a DLC character. That would just be in the game. Players feel like they're spending more for less. And publishers don't have a clear goal for, we're trying to make this much money, and once we get this much money, we're okay. Which would naturally mean that the way they would monetize it would be a little less predatory, and there would be a certain cap that you could hit. Hey, we only need to monetize these 10 things and then we're kind of done. Market research has told us we're going to make this much money from it, so we can kind of take a step back. But the reality is they want all of the money, not just more. So every single thing that can be monetized is monetized. And that feels terrible. So going to Breakpoint. The monetization elements of this game clearly are frustrating a lot of people. Even the sort of critical reviews here on the left mention mountain of glitches and microtransactions. So even the critics are saying microtransactions are not exactly good. Now, I would like to see, similarly to how publishers agreed to the $60 standard price point for games, I would like to see a future where publishers agree that all their games are free with microtransactions. And this isn't me talking out of my ass. Again, look at Fortnite, look at League of Legends, look at Apex Legends. Completely free games, the full game. It's not like, okay, you have to spend $5 to get the multiplayer part or $6 to unlock this. You get the full game, but for cosmetic purchases, all of that stuff is locked behind some sort of paywall. $5 for this character, $6 for this gun, $3 for this. The player then no longer feels like, I just spent $60 on this full priced game and now you're nickel and diming me for everything. They don't buy into it from the onset. They just download the client and they start playing it. That lets them experience the game, see if they actually like it, without any sort of the sunken cost fallacy. Okay, I already spent $60, so I gotta reaffirm that decision to make sure I like this game. No, truly neutral. Do I enjoy this game? Yes, no, it's free. Boom, I'm done with it. On to the next one. Oh, hey, I like this. I end up spending a lot of time on this. From the publisher's end, Fortnite and League of Legends make ass tons of money from these cosmetic purchases. Now, one very important thing to keep in mind, and I did see here, the Ghost War PvP mode auto equalizes everyone's stats, so you can't literally buy your way to victory there. One very important point that I want to make is the in-app purchases are cosmetic. The game is completely neutral and flat. You can't buy your way to a higher level. MMOs, a completely different genre, topic. You can't really handle them the same way you can these other things. For the short term, sure, maybe you get greedy and say, okay, well, we'll let our level 5 players equip level 5 weapons, which deal more damage. And then you'll get a few people to spend money on that. You'll get a few whales that'll max their character out and just own everybody, and then someone wants to compete with that. Sure, you'll get a handful of that. But for the long-term sustainability and growth of your game, think Rainbow Six Siege, right? You can't, that's not sustainable. People will see how toxic and caustic that environment is, and how the only way to get better is to spend money. That's the only thing this game rewards. Okay, the reason I lost is not because you outplayed me here, it's because you spent more money than me.
Credit card, you got it.
And that doesn't facilitate people sticking around for the long haul. So imagine the game is free, single player, multiplayer, the game is completely free. You just download it, you experience it, you try it. You then feel like the game is being respectful of your time because it's free, because it's not pressuring you to do anything. Then, okay, sure, I spent 10 hours on this game. Here's $5. Let me buy this baseball cap. Let me buy this skin. Let me buy this outfit for my character. Hey, I've sunk 20 hours into this one dude. Let me get the weapon skin or the spray paint for this guy, or let me get a new costume for this guy. And that business model is replicable. It has been for a wide swath of genres in games. Fortnite, Apex Legends, League of Legends, those games are super well regarded games. Tons of people are playing them. And a large portion of that is because the game was free and the microtransactions are only cosmetic. And I would like to see that sort of continue. Now, clearly I would like every microtransaction to be priced accordingly and everything to be awesome. But it's very clear that people are unhappy with the way microtransactions are being handled in a lot of games currently. Now, whether it's the vocal minority speaking and vast majority of people don't give a hoot and they don't care, they're going to buy the game regardless, they're still going to have that standpoint of, well, it's just cosmetic, so if you don't like it, like, don't buy the horse armor. Why are you throwing a big deal about this? Sure. But it's clear that this system no longer lets people feel comfortable, lets people feel in charge, lets people feel like they're making good purchasing decisions. I spent $60 on this. I spent $120 on the Lone Wolf edition of Breakpoint because I love Wildlands, I love Ghost Recon, I love Ubisoft games, I want to support it. Oh, well, as soon as I opened the game after spending $120, all I'm presented with is an in-game store and ways to spend even more money. That feels bad. Clearly, this feels bad to a lot of people. And I didn't want this to just be a Ubisoft bashing video like I have to imagine a lot of other videos are going to be. I wanted to try and talk through it a little more and offer a viewpoint on what you can do moving forward, what could be a change that people might be happy with. But yeah, this was kind of impromptu, but yeah, Breakpoint, what a weird thing.